All right, this weekend's been a crazy weekend for Cardano, crazy weekend for crypto. This is why I think Cardano at 70 cents is undervalued, okay? Today it's around 70 cents. It's been bouncing around here at about 70, 75 cents, 80 cents over the past couple days because of the tariff news that the Trump administration released, which caused the total market to go into free fall panic mode. This is what I'm watching today. And what we were watching last week actually is what is happening in this pennant, this bullish pennant that Cardano is kind of rocking in. Is it going to break up? Is it going to break down? It looks like it is now broken down because of that catastrophic black swan type tariff news. But all hope is not lost. Okay. I know a lot of people look at this chart, look at what Cardano and crypto is doing, and I can feel the tension in the crypto market. Like people are like, what in the world is happening? Is the bull market over? Is the 108,000 the Bitcoin high? I don't think so. And I think right now could be one of the best times in your life to be a crypto or a Cardano holder. Before we get too much further in this video, in the description is my Crypto 100x blueprint. You will get the free download. You will get the newsletter. We just released a big newsletter on what happened over the weekend and how I'm still bullish and how I've been navigating this space. So if that interests you, in the description, Crypto 100x blueprint, join us there. Now, I think we're still at a very good spot to be a Cardano holder, and I think we could see a 10x even from this spot kind of sometime in the future in 2025, getting Cardano from 70 all the way to $7. How does that happen and what am I looking at? Okay, the first thing I'm looking at is I need Cardano, or we as Cardano holders, if we want to remain bullish, need Cardano to hang out in this area. This kind of 70 to 80, maybe down to 65 cent area. This is a major area of support. And if Cardano loses this, I think that would be pretty bearish for Cardano to break all the way down here into kind of like this 50 area. I know we wicked there, but a wick doesn't really matter. We want daily closes, weekly closes, monthly closes to see where price is going. Okay. So the first big thing that I would do is if you are trying to figure this thing out about Cardano, you know, what's going on, why is it doing what it's doing, is first I'd get off the daily chart, move to the weekly chart. And if you remember some of my other videos, remember we're watching this pattern, this up, down, pennant, and breakout. Okay, we got the up, we got the down, we're in the pennant, we broke downwards from the pennant. So the big question is, do we still get the upwards breakout? Let me show you why I think we do. Now, first thing, we want to check some levels here. Fibonacci retracement levels on this current little move that we got going on here, right? And you can see Cardano is first off rolling right in here into this support level that we had here at about the 80 cent level from the previous higher high. You can see that was broken, but this is how I'm getting this 80 to 65, 70 cent area that Cardano needs to hang on to. So we have this higher high rolling in here. We have this bull market support band that's right here in this kind of 77 to 75 ADA range, 77 cent to 75 cent ADA range right in here. And then on this kind of micro Fibonacci that we have over the past couple of months, or in 2024, basically in 2020, late 2023, early 2024, and now 2025, is we have this 618 line rolling right in here. It's pretty common in bull markets for a move to make a retracement down to the 618. And if it did, that would still be an okay price point to target. That's about 64 cents for ADA right now. I personally don't think we're going to get all the way down here. I don't want to see ADA all the way down here. And I can show you why I think that when we move over to the monthly chart. But this kind of range, this 80 cent, 75 cent, range down to this 65 cent range. This is kind of a big range for Cardano. And if we want ADA to stay bullish in this upward trajectory, we want it to maintain this range and then move upwards from here. I personally don't want to see it retrace all the way back down here to the 786. I think that'd be a little too low for investor confidence. Although it could still be bullish, and it would simply repeat this. This move kind of did the same thing, went down to the 786 and then continued forward. We don't want to just keep repeating a 786, so I don't want to see it come all the way down here. But right here is kind of the last range I'm watching for Cardano. Now, what gets really interesting is when you move this over to the monthly chart, is kind of the patterns that ADA has going for it here. Remember, if you remember right, we're watching this move up, down, the bullish pennant and the breakout. What do we have going on here? The big thing that I want you to see between last cycle and this cycle is we had this nice move, and then we went into a 1 to 3 month bullish pennant before having a fourth month that breaks upwards. Well, you can see Cardano here. We have our big move. Now we have a 1 to 3 month bullish pennant. Currently, it is broken downwards, but maybe the question is the fourth month going to be the move that cranks it higher? Now, I know some people out there are already going to start saying, well, hasn't the month broken below the pennant? Well, the big thing about months and weeks is that we want to see closes. So if this month breaks below the pennant, but the next month revives the pennant, we could still be moving in the right direction and following this pattern. This becomes more true when we kind of look at our weekly time frame. The big thing about the weekly time frame inside of this bullish pennant we got going on is that this week right here is dropping below the bull market support band, right? So we've broken below the pennant. This week that we are currently in is breaking below the bull market support band. But what if next week comes back above the bull market support band, right? And then we maintain this bullish support level between 80 and 75, 65 cents that we are holding here for Cardano. What we don't want to see is we don't want to see this week be red, the next week be red, the next week be red, and we are just breaking below the bull market support band and losing a lot of support and just kind of having a negative experience in Cardano. What we want to see is this candle. Yeah, it's red, it's fine, right? But Cardano and ADA buyers have done a great job at buying up this candle back upwards. Okay, so then the big question is, what does next week bring, and does it get us back above this 80-cent level? Now, I want to take you back to this monthly chart real quick, and the big thing that I want you to think about here is, I know we said, 1, 2, 3, and then upwards, but some people don't really like that idea of, well, this happened here, so this is happening here. And you can see how this cycle has been different, right? Cardano has had a much longer bear market. The whole cycle has been much longer. And I think that is, throwing off some comparisons a little bit. But the big thing about what's happening in March, right? This month right here is currently February. The big thing about what March could bring is that March could be the month that revives Cardano upwards ahead of the bull market, ahead of this bullish pennant, if quantitative easing arrives. I think that QE could come back in March on the 18th when the FOMC meets because of what some other people are saying. This is JP Morgan. I showed this in a different video. Is JP Morgan says that when bank reserves fall below 10 to 11% of GDP, liquidity is scarce and causes volatility in short-term rates. You can see this was posted right here in November 2024. And so this blue line is the bank reserves. This is dropping, and it has dropped further towards this gray line, which is the 10 to 11% of GDP that is the target. What happens is, as bank reserves drop lower and lower, the market has the ability to become more volatile. You can imagine this as the idea that quantitative tightening cannot go on forever. What happens if QT goes on forever? Well, eventually the United States government, the Federal Reserve, runs out of bank reserves. They run out of money that they are holding, and therefore the whole United States market kind of doesn't have a lot of things backing it. So we have this idea that QT cannot go on forever. There's another Twitter post here kind of highlighting the same thing. This is the Federal Reserve's reverse repo facility, which is tied in right in here with this kind of information. And what it is saying is that this reverse repo number is down here. It was all the way up here. Now it is coming down and is right about here in 2025. Well, what this means is kind of the same idea, is the Federal Reserve is backed by some things. And as we QT, it is slowly losing money out of its bank reserves, right? It is tightening the economy. It is dropping things off. And there's a point where it can't do that forever. So the big question is we see some of these things going into effect, like the tariffs. We see the market kind of shaking a little bit. We see this point where we are getting down here on a percentage of GDP with bank reserves down into the 10%, 9%, 8% area. So reserves are becoming more scarce. There has to be a time when the government flips back to QE. Could that time be in March? And I definitely think it could be around March, maybe April, sometime in the first half of 2025, which is exactly what this JP Morgan post is saying right here. They're putting it right here. Poised to end quantitative tightening sometime in the first half of 2025 once the RRP drainage is complete. Now, this right here is the RRP. So with that idea in mind, I think we could be watching something magical happen and unfold here in the face of Cardano, right? Everyone's kind of counting Cardano out. Everyone's counting crypto out. Kind of the market's on pause. People are shaky, don't really know what's going on. I think we are seeing a similar pattern happen. And, this pattern happened late 2020. I think we have simply just moved that. Instead of it happening in, late 2024, it's shifted to early 2025. And so this cycle seems like it's just shifted over just a little bit and is a little bit of a harder cycle to navigate than the 2021 cycle. And because of that, I think we could see March be an incredible month, or February start to recover from this big drop that ADA has had. February starts to recover. I would love to see February close above the bull market support band, March get us back into the pennant or higher, and then April, May, June start to really launch us into this catastrophically quick rise upwards. I think all of that would line up with this other idea I've been playing with, is that the early So this right here is the 2017 Bitcoin cycle. And you can see very early on in the cycle, this kind of pattern in 2015, 2016 is really only mirrored in our cycle today. So I've kind of been toying with this idea that the Bitcoin cycle we are currently in here in 2025 is much more similar to this pattern here in 2017 than something like 2021 or this 2013, 2014 cycle. This price action looks a lot like this price action. And if you kind of look at where we are here, you could kind of expect to have a really amazing summer from where we are to the rest of the year. You can see here in 2017, we had 1, 2, 3 major big kind of pauses or accumulation zones before Bitcoin really took the next leg up. And we are seeing the same kind of idea here. 1, 2, now we are in the current third one. Maybe we get a month or two of in this accumulation zone, but maybe March or April could be those months where we really started to see this kind of movement for this 2025 crypto cycle. So all in all, what I'm saying is that I don't think there's anything to be worried about with Cardano. I know a lot of people are worried. I know that this candle right here is not like your mom's favorite candle ever, right? It's not like our favorite thing to ever happen in crypto. And we all want Cardano to stay higher for longer and just do the kind of stay in the pennant and stay going upwards. But I think we are going to need quantitative easing to come in to really pump this thing back up and really allow altcoin season to happen. And I don't think that there's any reason to count alt season out right now. I don't think there's any reason to count crypto out right now. And I think if you were to capitulate from this event right now, you might regret it in the coming months. From this point, if those things kind of line up, I think we could definitely see a $7 Cardano roll around in 2025, simply because like if we still fit into the normal crypto market pattern where we had that 2017 style market, well, Bitcoin topped around November, December in 2017. It was actually December. In 2021, Cardano topped around August and September. And so if we kind of add these all together, I mean, where in 2025 could we see Cardano end up? Well, if Cardano ended up and followed this trend line here and ended up in, let's say it peaked in August of 2025, that would put it right here at about $6.70. If it made it all the way out to November, December, that would put it at around $7. There's always a potential that this trend line does not keep going on forever like this. Obviously, that would be, pretty crazy if it went on forever like that. But I think it could be reasonable to kind of expect Cardano to hit that level, because when we do a trend-based Fibonacci extension, we kind of get that level anyways. You come here, you kind of see what ADA's got going on for it. And typically what I have seen is like these altcoins, like Ethereum last cycle, went up here between the 3.618 and the 2.618. This is where Ethereum went last cycle in 2021. Bitcoin in 2021 went between the 1.618 and the 2.618. And so it kind of makes sense, in my opinion, that Cardano could have the ability to get right here all the way up to this line, to the 2.618, at around $7 somewhere here in late 2025. So this would be a perfectly normal range, and maybe Cardano can even go higher. Not only are those the reasons I'm still bullish on Cardano, but also as other altcoins have been doing well, Cardano continues to follow its same pattern. Why would I leave Bitcoin right now when it seems like Cardano is doing the moves it did against Bitcoin last cycle? So here's the ADA Bitcoin chart, and you can see what we did is we went up and wicked this line, which touched this previous higher high and higher low. This is what Cardano just did. It came up and wicked against this line, higher high, higher low, right? And you see, after it made this move, it came down and touched this line again. And we just, on this month, touched this line again. So the question is ADA Bitcoin done dropping? Is it going to continue to drop and consolidate to this line? Or is next month going to close higher above the bull market support band and continue upwards, gaining ADA against Bitcoin? I don't think Bitcoin's a better hold than ADA right now because of this chart, and ADA's actually growing against it. ADA dominance is the same way. We see ADA dominance chopping back here in 2020. What do we see here today? ADA dominance chopping on the support line with the bull market support band, and there's no reason to expect it to go further down, meaning ADA is going to hold its dominance in the crypto market, and it's actually going to probably start to gain further back up here to around the 4% level. Should you hold Solana instead of ADA? That's a good question. On the monthly chart, we can see Solana was dominating Cardano over the past 2 years in 2023 and 2024. But here in 2025, we can see that actually late 2024 and early 2025, Solana has been dropping against Cardano, and Solana is currently running into its bull market support band here. I personally think Solana keeps dropping against ADA down here to around, the 786 or even lower somewhere. And I don't think Solana is going to be a better hold than ADA either. Okay, well, is Ethereum a better hold than ADA? Let's check that out. Here is the ADA Ethereum chart, and you can see for a long, long time since 2021, Cardano was dropping against Ethereum right here, right? That's this move right here. But since Cardano has taken out this previous high against Ethereum, I don't think it's going to drop much further. That would go against this kind of new trend it's starting. I think ADA holds above the bull market support band and continues to rise against Ethereum, meaning ADA would be a better hold than Ethereum at this point. Lastly, ADA XRP is a last good one to look at. And you can see since 2021, again, ADA has been dropping against XRP since 2021, still dropping today. I think that that's mostly because XRP was kind of crushed in price because of the whole SEC lawsuit it had in 2021, so it didn't get full price appreciation it should have. So Cardano naturally went much higher than it. But ADA has been dropping against XRP. Well, the beautiful thing is you would be insane to trade your ADA for XRP at this level. At the lowest lows, you would have had a much better time turning it ADA to XRP up here at the top. But down here at the lows, you're much better off holding ADA on the idea that eventually this chart will bottom and ADA will start to rise against XRP again. All in all, I don't think Cardano is a bad investment right now. I actually think Cardano is a great investment. I see a path for it to still 10x from here. Maybe it gets to $5, maybe it gets to $7, maybe it gets to $10, but somewhere in there, there's a lot of growth for Cardano coming. And I think the big thing that we need to watch for is what happens at the end of this week. Where do we close? Probably somewhere right around where we are is what I bet. Next week, what happens? Do we drop below the bull market support band again? How do we close out next week? Does it make it above the bull market support band? Does it make it above 80 cents? That is going to be a big sign telling us what is happening in the future and what direction things are going. I would love to see Cardano close next week above bull market support band, and then the subsequent couple weeks closing back up into this pennant. And then in March, we want to see that big monthly candle pumping us either back into the pennant or above the pennant. And if quantitative easing starts in March at the FOMC meeting, I think that could be a very good sign for crypto. This is what I think is going on with ADA. I'm in no way worried. This whole weekend, the tariff situation did not bother me. I'm happy to hold my ADA. I didn't buy any ADA on this dip because, I never do anything when the market gets crazy. I would rather just buy at 70 cents when nobody cares than buy at 50 cents when it's maximum emotion, all right? So this is what I'm watching. I think Cardano is a really good investment. If you agree with that, let me know in the comment what your favorite Cardano native token is. If you're still buying ADA, what's your ultimate high price prediction for this cycle? And if you're still watching, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe on the channel. Get the Crypto 100x Blueprint if you haven't, and we will hopefully see you in the next one for more Cardano content.